Hi, hello everyone. We are really happy to be here sharing with you our experience with the portfolio implementation at Bestday. It was really a journey with a lot of lessons learned that we want to share. But without any further spoiler, let me introduce Bestday. Bestday is a travel company. We are based in Mexico. We have four business units with customers both in the business to consumer and business to business segments. And we have more than 2,500 employees. And in particular, we had a product development team of 150 team members divided into around 25 product teams. And I'm Nacho Bassino. I'm Chief Product Officer in Bestday. I've been working in product management for more than 10 years, and I'm particularly passionate about helping teams be more successful and build better products. And for that reason, over the last 4 years, I've been trying to share my experiences through coaching, conferences, trainings, and writing in my personal site, linuxorientation.com. But I'm here as a guest. Today, the true soul of the Kanban party of this day is Alejandro.
Thank you, Nacho. My name is Alejandro Rodríguez. I'm really passionate about business agility. I've been doing software development for over more than 20 years. And I'm really committed to help organizations deliver value in a more predictable way at a sustainable pace. And of course, I am a Mexican taco lover. And I'm sharing also my thoughts and experience at cognify.com.mx. So, without further review, let me introduce you to what was Bestday in 2015, a little bit long time ago in a galaxy that not much far away in Cancun. We used to have a PMO, and it honestly felt like, we have a lot of projects, we have a lot of demand of projects, and it felt just like this. You know what? We need to build an empire fleet, right? And if a project manager there to ask, okay, but we have a lot of work in progress, what first? The common answer will be, well, we need everything and we need it ASAP, right? Sounds familiar? So our performance so far, we were able to meet 45% of the demand. And we forecasted increasing demand rate of 178%. So that is a lot, right? So there is no economics of keeping growing at that pace to maintain the demand versus the capacity, and of course this was not sustainable. So by that time, there were already three key players in the ecosystem. We already had a PMO. There was Scrum teams already there. We have already tried twice to implement Scrum. And in 2017, there was a new kid in town, and the Kanban team, right? I want to be honest with you guys because I served the empire. I was a project program manager, and for a period of time, of course, I also was Scrum Master. Then I became an Agile coach, and I thought the problem was me, right? Because I am the commune denominator behind all this story. So there was a period of equilibrium in regard that we already had this big PMO in place, and if we wanted to introduce a new concept or new method, the Kanban method, we knew we needed to isolate it, a pilot test, right? Because otherwise the ecosystem will eat for breakfast the new Kanban implementation. So what we did, we created this concept of a Kanban pod. Kanban pod was sort of a cross-functional team with a mission of delivering one project with a fixed date of 4 months. So it was agreed that if we were able to deliver that project, then we'll get something that we needed, and that was, get the idea of if the Kanban method may work for us or not. So this is me implementing Kanban board at what we call now Kanban maturity level number 0, oblivious. This is me with, sweating still a little bit of project management. You can see the blue sticks, those were features, and the yellow post-its were mainly tasks. So we were limiting tasks actually, but even though we were not doing the full thing Kanban stuff, we were able to successfully limit WIP on a regular basis. And the result was that we were able to deliver most of those user stories in 8 days or less. The 85% you can see it over there. 85% of all that work was finished in 8 days or less, so not that bad. And our process was pretty stable. You can see that on the cycle time histogram. So we got what we needed, and that was social proof, right? I mean, we were able to deliver that project in 3 months or less. And well, we were ready to roll. I was already excited, to get to the other teams and, share my knowledge and experience and how we were able to deliver in less time. So I was pretty happy. And then I began, Kanbanizing one team. And this is me overreaching. You can see that image where I wanted to measure everything. There was this big concept of the workflow. And honestly, I was really into measuring the flow efficiency. I wanted to spot where the bottleneck was. And to be honest, I did not involve as much as I should have the team in all this work. So lessons learned for me. Then I did it the right way. The right way is, of course, doing through static, system thinking approach to introducing Kanban to the teams. So we did that for 18 teams in 2018. And well, there you have it. We looked for the capacity versus the demand, the workflow, the motivation for change, and all that cool stuff from static, right? And well, this is us, not me. This is the team building his own Kanban board back in the day. And of course, I am a metric freak. I love to measure everything. So this is our user story cycle time for those 18 teams. And we started, delivering user stories at 71 days or less. That is the 85 percentile. So we had a long way to go still. So 7 months later, jumping on the Millennium Falcon, and bada bing, bada boom, bada bam, we really improved our visualization. You can see that you can see the upstream, right? You can see the downstream. You can see the explicit policies over there, the pull stages, WIP limits, classes of services, different work types. We thought we had everything, metrics. It was really cool. Different types of Kanban boards emerge within our organization. You can see there is the Avengers team. We have M&Ms. We have Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. You name it. It even became like a big competition of within teams of who had the coolest Kanban board in town. That is a Mario Bros. For instance. There was teams that even celebrated the first year that they were using this Kanban board. You can see there's the cake, pretty cool. But what about metrics, right? And this is where the fun begins. I mean, we should be already agile, whatever that means, right? So we had a nice trend from January to May. We were, getting faster. And then something happened. And how come we were supposed to be the chosen ones, right, Nacho?
Yep. So at this time was when C3PO joined the company, or the CPO joined the company. Actually, I joined in March 2018, so I kind of see this trend unfold. But it was interesting because from my perspective, even when the teams were really excited, the things were not looking that good. The main problem was that stakeholders were not really convinced about this change. So they are being sold now that we are having a transformation to a product-driven organization. That was why I was hired. But they are thinking that we have gone through 3 or 4 transformations at this point. We have been doing Kanban, Scrum, pods, product. They just do not differentiate. So they are very skeptical. And even though the CEO was very active promoting the product and Agile concepts, we still have a long way to go in terms of converting through results. So one of the even bigger problems was that some of the key players of our own team were not truly convinced of this product rebellion we are trying to bring to the table. So for instance, product managers, who are of course a key team player to make this transformation happen, they're coming through different places in the organization, and they are still mostly project managing, and that's what they do, that's what they know. And most of the other team members are seeing them as these leader figures in a more kind of command and control way. They're seeing like this stormtrooper figure. So what we truly need to do is a transformation in terms of culture. But this from March to what Alejandro just showed us, a few months have gone, and we kind of diagnose the situation a bit deeper. So at this moment, we see a bigger challenge, bigger threat upcoming, a new Death Star that's building, and that's that we are building on top of a company that has a lot of history. It's a 35-year-old company, so we have a lot of technical debt accumulated. So we have been building software for all those many years, and in the PMO structure, we are building project on top of project on top of project, and we have this very obsolete way of practices to build software. So at this moment, we realize that we need very painful changes to actually achieve true agility. And one of the most iconic ones, I think, was adoption of the DevOps culture of DevOps practices. And we had to fully disintegrate our traditional operations department. We incorporated most of our people into, for instance, development departments. But some practices like testing and releases were still manual. So to build and release one piece of software, we can take almost a month just to release that software. So what we did was to go through these painful transformations, and we started very, very quick, very fast, introducing all this transformation and all this automation in terms of doing these 25 projects be more agile. So at this moment, what we feel is that we have this traumatic path from our young selves to our old selves to go through. It's the only way to achieve true agility, but we as leaders need a way to actually give product managers, technical leaders, agile coaches, a way to mature in their own practices.
And talking about getting matured, at that time, 2018, I think it was, a good friend of mine brought me this book from a Lean conference, and I thought I should give it a try because we were aiming to, getting some more deeper level of maturity at the organization. So we started talking about the Kanban maturity model and the benefits behind its practices. And after 5 months of introducing practices from KMM level 1, level 2, Kanban maturity model wise, we improved, right? From 71 in February, we were now delivering user stories in 47 days or less. Remember, that is the 85% out of all those 18 teams. But we have a goal, and the goal was to deliver in 14 days or less. So we still had a long way to go. Just to share some thoughts of our team service delivery review, there were two key takeaways. The first one, it was really hard limiting work in progress. I mean, you guys know that it's just a simple practice, but it's really hard to master, right? So that was one key takeaway. And the other thing was that if you look at that histogram, you can realize those big outliers and on that fact, big tail of, and that mainly meant dependencies and blockers, right? So we knew we needed to do a better job in that regard.
But at this moment, we are kind of running out of time. So we have been 1 year through this process, and stakeholders have not seen great results, even though they are doing a big investment. And even worse, we are kind of getting worse in some respects. We are introducing a lot of change. I was saying that we were kind of transforming all the roles and all the practices. So we are introducing a lot of chaos to the system. And what we start seeing is that our teams are spending a lot of time actually fixing production. And this is a metric we introduced in 2019. We don't have the benchmark of 2018. That was even worse. But we are seeing that teams are spending, that's the gray line, they are spending more than 30% of their time actually fixing production rather than building software or building the innovation we want to bring to the table. So what we think we need at this moment is to actually have more visualization of what's coming next, a way to show stakeholders the light at the end of the tunnel, but also for us, because we have 25 teams working in what can be seen as different directions, maybe not different directions completely, but they are working in different initiatives. And one of the key issues for us is that dependencies are starting to bring conflict to the table. We still have a very tightly coupled software. So when one team is working in something and they need to work with another team, they need to share priorities, and that's not always the case. And sometimes a team start working some initiative and they find a new roadblock, and that's something that kind of stalls, and we are seeing that the entire system work in progress starts to grow. At that moment, what we try to do with the heads of products is start doing some road mapping and visualization of the work, again, just to give some stakeholders some visibility of what's coming next. And they start working with the product managers and some visualization tools to put these roadmaps in place. But this practice is still very unconnected from the Kanban practice. So what the roadmap is telling us is not connected to what the teams are seeing in their boards. And this is when we start thinking about, or the head of products working with the leadership coach, start thinking about implementing a portfolio. And this is our first, I would say, attempt, our initial step, was kind of visualizing what we had. And we created this card for the initiative. And at this moment, what we call initiative can take a team from 3 to 5 months to complete, approximately. So we have 25 teams, and look at there, you have more than 60 cards probably, and this work in progress. So it's not something that we plan to do. So we have almost, this was the aha moment. We have 60 things going on, and this is when visualization becomes realization that something needs to change for us to come up with this.
So now, this time I perform static on portfolio level. So this is me not overreaching on the workflow. I want to start it really simple. The stages where, what are the next quarter objectives? Then on the final stage, breaking down those big initiatives into user stories, and then doing some forecasting since we already had some data in order to know if we were able or not to deliver those initiatives for the next 3 months. And then there is the commitment point, definition of work, definition of ready. The major improvement that we introduced on the ticket design for a portfolio card was mainly doing some risk profiling. Over there you can see it. We wanted to know if things that we were getting started were not too risky, and we were having conversations around that. Also, we designed this Kanban portfolio stand-up cadence, where mainly it was discussed, of course, the progress, but also just to making sure that we were all aligned of starting the right things at the right time, and of course talking about blockers or impediments, right? So this is Nacho, back in the day, taking charge of the kickoff. You can see down there talking about whip, limiting whip, right? Because that is something that we were struggling with. And well, this is our first portfolio Kanban in 2019. And well, this is me coaching a little bit some KMM practices at the portfolio level. The way we decided to limit WIP was through tokens for each team, right? So each team will have 3 tokens. Why 3? It was just an hypothesis. We weren't sure if that was the capacity, or if they have the right capability of delivering those 3 big initiatives. So we just wanted to experiment. Also, we previously have already tried for visualizing dependencies. This thing with a string, it didn't actually work because they failed. So we came with the idea of, what if we created some shapes with the same color, and then do a little bit of matching, just to get to know if that initiative is dependent on this one, just to get some visualization, right? So 6 months later, after introducing those practices, we were able to deliver 30 initiatives in 2,212 days. So that is probably around 7 months or less. So that was not really good, because we were working at quarters, at portfolio level, but it is what it is. But at team level, you can see that we really gained some improvement, right? So by that time, those teams were already KMM level number 2, meaning that they had they were working as a team now. And you can see, without shaping the demand of the portfolio, we had, remember, those big outliers. The 85% of the work was being done in 23 days or less. And now with the portfolio, we were shaping the demand, and that allowed us to deliver in 13 days or less. But the big improvement was at the 95 percentile. You can see that we improved from 67 days to 24. We still had some outliers over there, but we were making progress. No doubt about it. Guess what? Same issue at the portfolio level now, right? It's really hard to whip limit. I mean, it seems really simple, but it's not. So some new changes were necessary, and I had the opportunity with Nacho support to spend sometimes with my little friends over there at Seattle, where I learned from a leadership perspective and how to introduce changes from a coaching perspective in the ecosystem. And the key takeaway for me was, if you want to introduce change, yes, introduce a practice. The practice will stress the ecosystem, but you need a feedback loop. You need not just a way for us to learn, but for everyone. So I came with this idea of, what? Let's put some metrics available for all of us in front of the portfolio board, and leadership, and that is really key. And here I want to thank Nacho, because he really supported me in signaling the rest of the group that we needed to do a better job limiting work in progress. 3 months later, after those changes were introduced, we then realized that we needed to do a better job in managing work, meaning that yes, we were striving to whip limit, but still the program manager was doing a lot of context switching between those initiatives. So we came with the idea of, what if we translate the aging into the physical board? So you can see these lines, those are days. So these epics below are 90 days or aged, have been aged in 90 days. And we introduced new elements into the card as well. You can see the token there, it says focus. You know what? So there the program manager will say, I am working on this initiative, and I am guaranteeing that the team is putting all the focus and effort in finishing and not starting, right? Remember this big Kanban way of saying, stop starting, start finishing, right? So what happened, Alejandro? What happened after you guys introduced those changes? We finally, at the end of November, I think it was, we finally got WIP under control, and we have been keeping WIP under control ever since. So that is pretty cool. Now, if we compare 6 months of 2018, we were able, remember, to deliver 30 work items or less in almost 7 months. And if we compare that with the first quarter of 2019, I mean, this is 6 months versus 4 months. I mean, we still have 2 months to go. We were able to deliver 71 work items in 3 months or less. So we were really happy because we are already getting faster, right? We're 2 times more productive and almost 2 times faster. So that's pretty cool. But what about user stories? I mean, if you remember the whole story, it all started because we wanted teams to deliver user stories in 14 days or less. And of course, the portfolio no doubt help us achieve that, because you can remember the histogram from 2018, and now take a look at the first semester 2020, where we actually see that the system is more stable, and that allows us to deliver what we needed. User stories in 14 days or less. Now we are aiming to be consistent, right? We want consistency. But what about people, Nacho? I mean, I am getting too technical with metrics, right?
So those were a lot of metrics, but actually what we are seeing is that for the first time, we are seeing true collaboration among team members. So as I said at the beginning, we need to do a role transformation, a cultural transformation for every team player in the ecosystem, in the groups. So we are seeing the product managers and the agile coaches leading the portfolio sessions, but also the tech leads and the UX designers joining the sessions and getting a lot of value out of it. So they are seeing the value in the practice. And furthermore, the portfolio enables some practices that were not there before. I mean, for instance, I mentioned the dependencies that were a huge problem for us, but what we saw is that something that a dependency that arises in the past and can be months before anyone do something about it. Now in the portfolio session, when we identify the dependency, we have a conversation right after the portfolio session and discuss how we're going to tackle it, which are the priorities, how we're going to assign resources. So it was very, very helpful in terms of making a true collaboration happen. And furthermore, in the portfolio, we introduced new practices that were not necessarily truly related to the Kanban practice. For instance, we implemented aging between when a work item or a feature was released to production and when the value of that feature was measured in production. And in that way, it helped us improve our product practice, and it helped us truly become a product auto-oriented organization. So it helped us in a myriad of ways. And of course, stakeholders are now celebrating all over the galaxy. We are delivering value to production in a regular cadence. They have visibility of what's coming for the future, but furthermore, they are seeing that we are becoming much more predictable in terms of what we commit to do and when we commit to deliver that. And finally, to me, as Chief Product Officer, this is a key tool for product strategy. We know where we are, we know where we are going, and if something needs to change, if we need to make a strategy change implementation, we can have a very much informed decision about what's happening and how this change that we're trying to introduce will impact the system. So just to wrap up, it's just not both of us doing this work. There's a lot of people, a lot of talent that is helping us. And we are not done yet with these changes. We want to introduce, for instance, experiments and discovery to our portfolio visualization. But some kind of a meta learning we have from this experience is that through iteration and continuous improvement, we can achieve a lot of things. So we know that our portfolio session is going to be the key to get us to a really solid product organization. So with that, I would like to thank you. I hope that you take something away from that. But just before we jump to the questions, I want to ask one favor. If you can provide us some feedback. So as I talk, if you can just scan that QR code. It's a 2-question survey, 10 seconds to answer. And of course, if you want to contact us, we are very open, very connectable. So you can reach us in any way. We are more than happy to continue discussing our implementation and our learnings with this experience. Thank you very much.
Right. Yes, we Kanban.